Boeing was once held up to be the gold standard of engineering excellence, and today it has lost a lot of credibility.
The 737 MAX scandal will change aviation history like no other event in the past.
The MAX crisis has severely crippled the nation's biggest exporter, exposed critical flaws in the relationship between the FAA and the businesses it regulates, and raised serious questions. How was this able to happen? Who is to blame? And what does this mean for the future of the aviation industry? Some of the most important reporting to come out after the crash was a story about an obscure piece of software.
We were obviously trying to understand things about this airplane and the systems on the airplane, and so I went to an aviation safety conference. One of the people we talked to was a pretty senior Boeing executive, and he acknowledged that they never told pilots about the system, and essentially, what's the big deal?
Boeing at the time argued that pilots didn't need to know about the existence of the Automated Flight Control System, whose name the public would eventually learn was MCAS.
Well, how can that be? How can there be something on a plane, not only that pilots didn't fully understand and weren't trained on, but also just didn't know that it existed?
In December, the company finally said, we can't keep making these planes, we're going to have to shut down our factory. And that has a huge ripple effect throughout the supply chain. And I think all of the relatively rosy projections that Dennis Muhlenberg had been making throughout the year finally came to a head, and the board said enough is enough.
It wasn't surprising when Muhlenberg was pushed out. It was more surprising that it took the board as long as it did.
In the new year, Boeing has continued to grapple with the fallout from the MAX scandal, the end of which doesn't seem to be anywhere in sight. On January 10th, Boeing released a batch of internal communications.
They showed Boeing employees talking about tricking regulators and say some really unflattering things about the regulators that they were dealing with.
It gives you a real glimpse into the culture inside Boeing.
It was these internal messages that likely led to Boeing's hand being forced to reverse their long-held stance that pilots didn't need simulator training.
That is a stunning development. There is an ongoing criminal investigation by the Justice Department. There is a civil investigation by the Securities and Exchange Commission. It is also the subject of inquiries by the congressional lawmakers. It is also being looked at by the Department of Transportation and the FAA. The plane is still on the ground.
I just want to tell you both good luck. We're all counting on you.